Okay, next we're gonna get, I know Lila's aboard, Starr. She's on the West Des Moines School Board, incumbent. This is her second go around. And first got elected 4 years ago in 2021, November of 2021. And Lila's very active with the community. And we appreciate her joining us tonight. And so we're gonna give the floor to you for about 5 or 6 minutes, Lila. And then after that, I'll also ask you 2 questions. Then after that, we'll wrap it up. But we should be done hopefully right at 6:30. So Lila, the floor is yours for the next 5 minutes.
Okay, great. Am I muted? Is that correct?
I can hear. We can hear you. Yeah.
Great. Well, great to be with you folks. Thanks for doing this, and thanks for this process. I'm a member of the Unity Coalition, and I really believe in what you're doing. So this is a great opportunity. So as Mitch said, I am a member of the West Des Moines School Board, having gotten elected in 2021 for the first time. I have been a resident of Clive since 1997. I have lived in Iowa since I was 10 years old, having moved to Iowa and grew up in Waverly in Northeast Iowa. I am the product of 2 social workers. I am a social worker. I married a social worker. I have aunts that were social workers, siblings who married social workers, and educators. So lots and lots of educators and social workers in my family. So believe in yeah, it's totally in my DNA. It's there's a lot of passion around social justice and the interest of understanding human behavior and trying to make life as good as it can be for people. For the last, 30 plus years, in addition to just being a regular passionate social worker with a background in child protection and older adults, I have been a really passionate advocate for people with disabilities. A life-changing experience for me early on in my development as an adult was when someone I had just met and thought was really wonderful had a car accident and became quadriplegic as a result. That woman became my very best friend in the universe, and she's just died a couple years ago, so I still have trouble talking about her. Anyway, she's an amazing human being and changed my life, and taught me to think differently about people who have different abilities, and to think about how blessed I am to live in a world where accommodations can happen for people because of things like the Americans with Disabilities Act and the Olmstead decision, the Olmstead Supreme Court decision. I was just giving a speech about it to a group earlier today. Is all about the rights of people with disabilities to live in the communities of their choice. And that landmark Supreme Court decision will turn 26 on the 22nd of this month. So I give presentations in Iowa and across the country about the Olmstead decision. I'm the parent of 2 young men who are twice exceptional, meaning they have disabilities and they are gifted. Being the parent of 2 unusual humans with both giftedness, which puts them on the high end of the spectrum in terms of school expectations, and having disabilities, which makes them need accommodations in order to achieve their potential. Turns out that's a pretty extraordinary thing. Twice exceptionality is not common in the educational system, and they tend to be some of the hardest kids to educate because you have to meet their needs on sort of the disability end and the gifted end if you want them to have great outcomes. And so I became almost a full-time advocate for my kids when they were in school. Long story short, but so I'm a social worker. I do that professionally. I advocate for people with disabilities. I had to learn a lot about navigating the school system for kids that have different styles of learning. And As I have approached retirement, my kids have said to me, you should run for school board, Mom, because you're a really great advocate for kids who think and learn differently. So that was sort of the impetus for me to run for school board. I wasn't going to run until I retired. I haven't retired yet, but 2021 came along and school board issues were getting a lot of national attention with book banning and otherism and lots of ugly stuff. And I just felt like this is the time to run. So I ran, I was elected. It's been a real honor to serve. I've been involved in a process where we selected a new superintendent. That was a really, really deep learning experience for me. And I think I bring a lot to the job that helps me have the potential to be really good at this. I feel like with a lot of elected positions, you use your first term to really sort of figure out how to do the job a little bit. And if you think you're already good at it, you probably haven't been paying attention because you really need the first term to kind of just, learn the process. And I am a lifelong learner. So I hope I achieve at least one more term on the school board because there's a lot left for me to learn and hope I can make a difference. How'd I do? Was that more than 5 minutes?
Oh, you were about a minute over, but that's okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you 2 questions if time permits. And the first question pertains to question number 4 of the questionnaire, where we ask, in light of the increased activity, in light of the increased anxiety felt by students and families as ICE activities increase throughout our community and throughout the state, what your district can do to reassure families that they are safe at school, and how would you support those who may have had family members support it? As part of your answer, you mentioned that anyone seeking to come onto a school property to look for, arrest, or detain a student or a staff member must first make contact with the superintendent's office. Aside from making federal authorities check in at the superintendent's office first, what specific actions will the superintendent's office do to protect its students? And what action plan is in place for school officials to follow in this scenario?
Wow. So let me go to the end of that question first. What specific actions will the superintendent's office take? I don't know, is the short answer to that question. I know that we've had a lot of limitations put on us by really heinous actions taken by the governor's office and the Iowa General Assembly. And we know that there are limitations to what you can do if and when law enforcement shows up. But we made it a point as a school board to do everything we can over the last several years to make sure our culture in our school district feels welcoming and that people feel safe at school. And folks may not know, because West Des Moines still sort of has this reputation of being a place where like wealthy people go to school, but we are approximately 47 to 48% free and reduced lunch and 47% non-white in our school district. We have an enormous number of immigrants in our community and in our schools. We had, when my kids were in school, which was quite a while ago because they're 30 and about to be 28, there were 28 languages spoken in the ESOL program at their school. There are now over 70 languages spoken in our schools. So we know that we need to do everything possible to make our immigrant families feel safe. I'm married to an immigrant, so the issue, it's real close to home for me. At the start of our legislative session this year, we made a statement from the school board table that says, as a board, we believe deeply in welcoming our community and in having people feel safe here. And we reminded people that there was a policy that says, you know, individuals from law enforcement must check in at the superintendent's office. In other words, our goal is to not have anybody arrive at any particular school property and surprise anyone, because at the beginning of this current administration, there were rumors flying around that they were planning raids even as early as Inauguration Day. And there was a lot of anxiety in our minority community. So our school counselors were made aware of that, our administrators were made aware of that, and there were efforts made to do what we could to ameliorate the anxiety that people might be feeling. As an individual board member, I try to model that as well. I hope that feels like it's an answer to the question.
No, you did well. Okay, this last question, I'm gonna just read it out, and you'll have 2 minutes to answer it. Then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
Our second question, pertaining to question 3 of the questionnaire, asked what measures should be taken to keep students and educators safe, and how to pay for these measures. You mentioned that the West Des Moines Community Schools 10-year plan to secure its schools through secure entrances, locked doors during school hours, screening upon entry, badging, etc. And that funding has not been an issue so far. Also, in your answer, you mentioned that hiring an executive director for DEI, and that individual's title has been changed while the concepts remain the same. Aside from the title change, what other workarounds have there been to minimize the impact of the governor's efforts and legislators to eliminate DEI in our schools? And you have 2 minutes.
Yeah. So as I said, before the legislature changed the law to sort of officially eliminate those words from our school district, DEI, I was serving as the president of our board at that point. We rotate that role through our board members, and so I served my year last year. I went to our superintendent and I said, the handwriting is on the wall. You know, DEI is going to come under attack, and it's going to get worse if you know, a certain party wins the next presidential election. So what are we going to do proactively to protect our administrator who was hired to do DEI? So that entire job was re-envisioned, made part of the administration. The title was changed, and we've hired additional support for that entire effort. If anybody's from the local community, you might be familiar with David Maxwell, who was the principal of Valley High School for 20 years, outstanding human being, much loved in the community. David has stepped down from serving as the principal for Valley High School and will become the right hand or the left hand, or maybe both hands, for the same individual who was previously called our director of DEI, and will help make sure that we are setting a tone and having a culture in our school district that is welcoming and validates people and meets people where they are, and really does a lot of outreach to make sure that the very diverse needs of our community are met and well served.